Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia, and this is the summary for the day of 730 for the 23rd of February. Let's start off with the Frontline Changes report. And we start off with the Bakhmut Front. There is further development over at the Ivanivske region. So the Russian forces have captured more grounds over in this region. According to the Russian claims, they have taken the northern part, most of the northern part of the Ivanivske region, and are very, very close to the northern outskirts of the settlement. They have also attacked into the southern part of the eastern part of Ivanivske, and now this is looking pretty bad, because previously we have already reported that the Russian forces have taken most of the east and the northeastern part of the settlement. Let me zoom in a bit so that we can actually look into the situation over here clearer. So with this change of this frontline change, the forces have basically become like this, and the Russian forces is likely to continue to close in and attack into the settlement as we speak, and they will continue to close down and semi-encircle this settlement. So this is the current development, and there is geolocation of Russian forces just on the entrance of Ivanivske, confirming Russian presence basically on the eastern part of Ivanivske. And another frontline change is over at the Pryyutne, north of Pryyutne, over at the Velika Novosibirsk sector of the Donetsk Front is over here. Based on the Russian claims, so this is Pryyutne. Based on Russian claims, their mapping have shown that they have taken the northern part of Pryyutne. So basically wiping the Ukrainians off this forest region. The Ukrainian forces previously was geolocated over there. They probably has been ejected from that area. So we will continue to monitor. This is not corroborated just yet by the Ukrainian side, but we will see how this progress. And we move on to the next frontline change. It's over at Vesele. So this is at the Siversk Front. This is Siversk city. At the Siversk Front, there is a geolocation from a footage. So this is Rozdolievka, Vesele, Vimka, Bilohorivka. So the Russian forces are attacking northward along the railway line towards Vimka. And there is geolocation of Russian forces unloading and attacking the Ukrainian position. So there is just some slight changes in terms of the front line. Very, very minor. If you look in, it's very, very minor. It's just closing up this gray zone that was previously just thought to be a gray zone. No, nothing's supposed to be there. So yeah, so basically we're just closing up the borders between the Ukrainian map and the Russian map. So that's about it. Another one is another correction is also this one is on the Donetsk Front in the northern part of Shevchenko. So there is this massive gray zone between see this overlapping mapping. If you can see, this is the Ukrainian map, Russian map, and due to the latest geolocation of FPV drones attacking Ukrainian forces near Shevchenko, in the northern part of Shevchenko, along this tree line around here, this actually confirms Ukrainian presence along this area here. As a result, this resulted in the invalidation of some of these Russian claims. So the Russian claims, Russian front line is now going to look like this in the next tomorrow's SITREP, because of the Ukrainian presence, showing that either Ukrainian mapping is correct or the Ukrainians have actually recaptured this forest region. So that's all for the frontline changes report. So, and we move on over into the strategic and tactical reporting. And first thing first is this major news that broke out yesterday was the destruction of yet another Russian A-50 AWACS plane. So AWACS is basically radar plane. So this radar plane is basically the second of his second to be shot down in just, I think, over a month or two. And this radar planes for Russia is very rare. They don't have a lot of them. So the loss of this kind of radar plane is very huge, in terms of the consequence for the Russian operations. And so far there is still no clarity in terms of how it got shot down. There is rumors about being shot down by Patriot systems, but if you look at the distance, it could 200 to 300 kilometers, maybe. It's is kind of dragging it a little bit, stretching it a little bit, but it is possible. And according to the story by Raiba, one of the claims is that there was 2 missiles that were shot towards this A-50. One of them was intercepted, but the other one hit the target. And there's also other stories basically saying that due to the interception of decoy missiles, as a result, the Russians actually shot down their own plane. So very confusing. So that, and given this kind of thing, the Russian Defense Ministry is unlikely to acknowledge the loss of this aircraft or report about it. So we're going to not hear much about this from now on. So, but this is actually reported and announced by the Ukrainian side, the official side. They actually did talk about this, but they also did not talk much about how it got shot down. So it is what it is. Anyway, let's move on away from that boring subject over to the Southern Front. On the Kherson Front, there is still a Ukrainian Defense Ministry report about Russians trying to dislodge Ukrainian units from the bridgeheads on the southern bank of the Dnipro River. And we are not clear if it's at Krinky. It is possible to be at Krinky because most of the fighting is actually simply geolocated over there. So we will continue to monitor and see, if the Ukrainians actually have totally withdrawn away from Krinky, as per the Russian claims, or they have been entirely destroyed, or they are actually still there. So we will continue to monitor, but basically DPA's position is that the Ukrainians are still at Krinky, be it's 10 soldiers or 20 soldiers, they are still there. So we will continue to wait and see how this progress. There is there's an airstrike reported at the Shelyakove, and there's another airstrike reported at Berislav. So there is 2 airstrikes around here. So a bit suspicious why there is this attack in this area here. Could there be some kind of accumulation of Ukrainian forces trying to do something new? Maybe attack into Kakhovka or something. No, so we do not know. So we will continue to monitor and see how this progress. And we move on away from the Kherson Front into the Zaporizhzhia Front. Over at the Zaporizhzhia Front, at the Zaporizhzhia Front, there's nothing to report on the Kayamsky sector. We move into the Orikhiv sector. So this is the Orikhiv sector. This is Orikhiv. And further south, over at this salient, the Orikhiv salient, basically where the Ukrainians have conquered this piece of land from during the Ukrainian counteroffensive. The Russian forces is still on the counteroffensive, with fighting reported towards Robotyne, within Robotyne itself, and on the western part of Verbove. So yesterday we already mentioned of the huge capture and of the grounds from the Ukrainians, but tentatively there's still no corroboration just yet. A geolocation of Ukrainian forces getting hit by drones in the trenches. There's this major entrenchment around here. So this video is unclear when it was taken. It could be dated before the Russians storm into the southern part of Robotyne, and so we have to continue to wait. So definitely there's something to in need of corroboration to see whether the Russians are actually indeed in this area here, and have they actually conquered all these areas. So until corroboration, this is just a one-sided claim. Ukrainian front line is still looks like this, not like this. This is the Russian mapping. So that's all from the Orikhiv sector. Nothing over the Huepole sector, and that's it from the Zaporizhzhia Front. We move into the Donetsk Front. So this is the Donetsk Front. At the Donetsk Front, at the Velika Novosibirsk sector, as mentioned in the Frontline Changes report, no. And the Russian forces have taken grounds over in the northern part of Pryyutne. So otherwise, there's no other reported fighting in this area here. And we move further on to the Pryyutne Zolotaneva region. There was no reported fighting around this area. However, there is the geolocation of Ukrainian forces, probably taken some grounds as per the Frontline Changes report, that could be relating to the Ukrainian offensive reported on the 19th to the 20th of February, so a few days ago. So it could be related to that. And there is still, counter battery fires fighting over in the north western part of Pryyutne, so counter artillery actions. And over in the northern part of Voleda, there was geolocation of Russian airstrikes on Ukrainian position at Vodian. So pretty much it become positional again. The fighting around here has become a positional warfare. And over at the Marinka sector of this front line, Russian forces are still trying to push out of Boyeda. Fighting is still reported over there, and there is fighting reported at Novomikhailivka. Surprisingly, no fighting is being reported at Georgievka. So so we will continue to monitor the situation at Boyeda. Might reverse. We may never know. The Ukrainians may counterattack because the Russians did enter Boyeda before, and around more than a year ago. So it's not a guarantee that they would be able to hold the ground. So we will continue to monitor and see how this goes. And over at Krasnohorivka, there is a geolocation of Russian airstrike. So it was quite a big explosion. As you can see, it is a rather huge bomb hitting the industrial areas, industrial zone over at Krasnohorivka. In this area here, some very big explosion. So it was described to be a Ukrainian deployment site. So we will see how this goes. I don't think whatever site is called is not very relevant. And over in the northwestern part, Lancer attack on a Ukrainian artillery system, northwestern part of Krasnohorivka. So that's about it. I think that's all from the Donetsk Front. And we move on into the Avdiivka Front. At the Avdiivka Front, so this is the Avdiivka Front, and this is Avdiivka city that has been captured by the Russian forces. The Russian forces continue their Avdiivka offensive. This time around, fighting is being reported at Stepove, Lashtoshkine, Zhivane, Pervomayske, and Nevelske. So this is the current strategic situation over at the Avdiivka Front. And of significance is the appearance of Abrams tank over in the front line of Avdiivka. So near Stepove, there is the appearance of the Abrams. This is posted by Deep State UA. It is also being published over by other OSINT, open source intelligence. You can see the Abrams tank rolling up in the snow. I'm not sure if it's still snowing right now. So if it's not snowing right now, then this could actually be a dated footage. It may not actually be a current footage. So this is important to note. And so basically, he just recorded it driving down this road, open fire on Russian positions, and then basically it's scooted. So it's a correct way of using the tank. So the tank is not supposed to bash through, and then like some Dragon Ball superhero. No, that's not how you use a tank. And so that's all. Previously, there was already another Abrams-related vehicle that was destroyed. Basically, it was a demining vehicle that is actually based on the Abrams chassis. So, yeah, so the destruction of the demining vehicle already show that Abrams tanks, in terms of its armor or its vehicle type, can be destroyed. So, Ukrainians will have to be careful when they use the Abrams tanks. So it's interesting to see them in action, but also could be a sign of desperation because they're running low on main battle tanks. So that could also be another way of interpreting this information. Russians still have no breakthrough over at Lashtoshkine. They still pretty much not have success. The Russian presence at Zhivane continues. There is no signs of the capture despite the rumors on some pro-Russian channels or something. So I do not know. I only saw my trusted media talk about it, but no. Yep. So that's it for the Avdiivka Front. We move on. There's nothing over at the New York Front. We move into the Bakhmut Front. So this is Bakhmut City. And in the southern flank of the Bakhmut Front, there was no report about any fighting. Very interesting. But however, there is a lot at the Ivanivka region. The Russian forces basically, as per the Frontline Changes report I've mentioned, attack from the north, and they attack from the east in the southern part of the eastern part of Ivanivske. From what I think, the Russian forces is going to line up the front line along the settlement and actually able to hit into the rear or even launch encirclement or something. But it's going to be difficult because there is major forest in this area here, and forest regions usually, is very defendable. So yeah, I don't think they're going to go very far. They probably will enter through the main road over here, and another force is going to continue to push and engage the Ukrainians over in the southwestern part of Ivanivske and attack through to the rear of Ivanivske. I believe that is a feasible thing to do. So we'll continue to see the Russian envelopment of Ivanivske before they do an all-out attack into the city itself or the town itself. So anyway, that's all from the Ivanivske region. In the rear position, there is some artillery strikes and some lancet attacks being geolocated, not very important. And that's it from the Bakhmut Front. Moving into the Siversk Front, this is the Siversk city. And at the Siversk Front, there's no fighting being reported in this area, only geolocations. As per the Frontline Changes report, some Russian attack being geolocated in the southeastern part of Avdiivka. And there's another geolocation at Rozdolivka of Ukrainian forces getting hit by a thermobaric missile barrage. And over at the Bilohorivka region, there is also artillery shelling of Ukrainian forces at the Bilohorivka itself. There's another one which I didn't map in. Is actually also a thermobaric missile barrage on Ukrainian positions over in the Chok Hill. But generally, this is not important. Important thing is that it only denotes Ukrainian forces' presence in this area here. So that's all. From the Siversk Front, we move into the Kreminna Front. So this is Kreminna city. At the Kreminna Front, fighting continues only in the region of Terny and Yampolivka. Ukrainian forces counterattack at Terny. There is again no attack being reported in the Zaporizhzhia Forest region. So I wonder what is happening over there. Did the Ukrainians totally retreat from that area, or what exactly happening? So we're not sure. So this is the strategic situation over at Kreminna Front, and we move on. There's nothing over the Vesele Front. We move into the Kupyansk Front. So this is Kupyansk city. And this is the Kupyansk Front. At the Kupyansk Front, fighting continues to be reported mainly in this northern sector of the front line. And Russian forces is being reported to be attacking Sinkivka as well as Petropolivka. So this Petropolivka. So this is the main attack vector. Ukrainian forces counterattack within the forest region towards Liman Pershi and on the western part of Sinkivka. So this is the strategic situation over the Kupyansk Front. I don't expect much from this area here, so we will continue to monitor and see how this progress. Oh yeah, there's also attacks being reported at Sinkivka, a counterattack from the Ukrainians. Yeah, so this is the strategic picture, and that's it from the Kupyansk Front. And zoom out, there is over the Kharkiv region, there is only one geolocation of an airstrike on Ukrainian position, so-called. They say it's a warehouse over at Chorne, and that's it from the Kharkiv Front, and that's it. So this is the summary for the day of 730 for the 23rd of February. Let's do some conclusions. I haven't been doing conclusions for quite a few days because so many things has happened. So we can actually kind of slow down and kind of take a look at what is exactly happening. So we move from frontline to frontline, and the most important thing is, again, as per mentioned in yesterday's report, of the presence of the Patriot system. I think it is most likely the Patriot system's presence in this area here, in the Zaporizhzhia and Donetsk Front, that caused the shutdown of multiple planes. And particularly, they are often over the Sea of Azov. So that's something very, very interesting to note. And the situation at Kharkiv continues to be very peculiar. The Ukrainian forces continue to try to hold this beachhead at high cost, and the soldiers being sent there is basically on suicide missions. I have no idea what's the purpose to do all these things. The Russians are probably very perplexed as well. The Russians are also still losing troops in their process of trying to clear them out. Tentatively, nobody knows actually if there's any Ukrainian troops right now in Kharkiv. We will continue to monitor for more information, but it's pretty pointless, and I believe Ukrainians have lost way too much, for this little beachhead. And over the Zaporizhzhia Front, the Russian forces continue their offensive. It looks like all these probings are not going to become some major offensive. There's so much rumors about the Russians launching some massive offensive all the way from the Kamsky sector to the Huaypole sector, and turned out to be not true. It did not happen. The focus is entirely over at this Kharkiv salient, where the Ukrainians have taken these grounds during the counteroffensive. The Russians are making some progress, but however, the lack of corroboration in terms of video geolocations and Ukrainian corroboration of the mapping do present itself to be a bit suspect. So we will continue to wait and wait for information. But so far, the Ukrainians are definitely taking the heat regarding the Russian attack. Over at the Donetsk Front, the probing attacks continues. So we have at at Pryyutne, and then we have attack at Staromayovsky, at Zolotaneva, Pryyutne, Shevchenko. There's some clashes, Volodymyrivka, and these are all probing attacks directions, and it comes and goes. Ukrainians have to travel between this area here. It must be quite a pain. Then this means the battle of Novomihайлivka just went dead. Nobody knows what's happening. This went quiet. Suddenly we have the capture of Pryyutne. And however, it doesn't seem like the Russians have success in terms of just storming out of it. Like in Avdiivka city, the Russian forces basically entered, but it doesn't seem like it's easy for them to just fan out. So we will have to continue to monitor and see how this progress. There's a high chance the Russian forces can be pushed back in this area here. Avdiivka Front is interesting as well. So Ukrainian forces have very good defensive positions from the Novobakhmutivka region to Badaichi to Stepove. This front is extremely strong, and then of course another front line very strong is over in the south of Tonenki and Zhivane, at Povomaisky and all the way to Nevelsky. These are all the strong lines. This area here is the newly developed line, and the Russians know that this is the weak spot. Thus, the Russian is pushing towards Olivka. They are attacking Loshchkini. They swing around and attack Zhivane going around the strongholds. So this is why we are seeing the Russian attacks in this area here. So if you zoom in a bit more, you will see why Ukrainians have very strong positions around here. And the Russians, after having this hole that was exposed due to the fall of the city, they actually storm in from the east, and they're able to reach Zhivane pretty quickly. And they are also attacking towards Lashtoshkini, and the Ukrainians have to quickly form new line of defense against the Russian forces. So this is what we are looking at, and the Russians are trying to break through. I'm quite sure the Ukrainians are busy, quickly building up new fortifications around all these vital points to make sure that the Russian breakthrough does not happen. And the longer the Russians fail to break through, the more likely that this will become a new static front line. So the Russians need to act faster if they want to break through. And interestingly, this is wrong color, is this push from the coke plant towards Olivka. This is one of the super weak spots because I don't think the Ukrainians ever expected the fall of the coke plant. And also with this attack, this is likely to continue to develop. The furthest point the Russians have arrived is over at this junction. So the Ukrainians will have to hold this ground. The loss of Olivka will lead to the loss of Lashtoshkini because the road is basically the same road. This is the same road. So a Russian intercept into this area here will cut off Lashtoshkini, and basically will have to force the Ukrainians into a withdrawal. And that's the essence of maneuver warfare. But honestly, I'm not even sure if the Russians are practicing maneuver warfare at all, or just a little bit in terms of the encirclement or envelopment of the Avdiivka city. So we will continue to monitor. This war is super static. So not super static, but super static. So let's see how this progress. Other areas here, I think the most important is the one at Ivanivske. The Battle of Ivanivske is now currently happening with Russian forces already entering from the eastern part. They are now closing in from the north, and I believe the Russian forces is going to swing from the south, envelop it from the south, envelop it from the north, cause a semi-encirclement, forcing the Ukrainians, squeezing them out like toothpaste, and then squeeze them out so that they will get out towards Chasiv, and that will secure the security of Bakhmut city. But honestly speaking, after Ivanivske, there is no easy positions for the Russians as well. If you look further to the west of Ivanivske, you have a massive forest, which the Ukrainians would easily entrench themselves very well. So this is not an easy place to go through. And then you're gonna have Chasiv, which is a pretty big settlement. And then we have Steposhki. And after this area, if the Russians can capture, they move further west. You're gonna have a city that's bigger than Bakhmut, Konstantinivka. This is a major transport hub, basically just like Bakhmut, but bigger. So I have no, I don't look at this offensive as a sensible one. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me to push through and bash through the strong defense line of the Ukrainians. This is basically going to look as stupid as the Ukrainian counteroffensive hitting towards the Zaporizhzhia line. It don't make sense. There's no reason to do this. I think the focus should be heading northwest towards Sloviansk and Kramatorsk, and then going through between the two towns, cut off the highway and encircle. Basically cut off supplies and encircle the Ukrainian forces and get them all stuck in this area here. Don't fight them head on. I just don't make sense. And further north, I believe I have done the video on this before already. The Russian forces also, should attack towards right Oleksandrivka, and that will basically cut off Siversk from the Slovians, forcing the Ukrainians have to travel through Liman to reach Sloviansk. And from this area here, the Russian forces can continue to expand, attack towards Ozheny, cut off this road, and the Siversk Front, the entire Siversk Front will be encircled. That is, and then we're going to have another Russian attack from Torske, in the Serebryanske forestry, cutting off. Basically, the Siversk Front will collapse in the encirclement or envelopment. So there is a lot of ways to avoid fighting all these high casualties places, but I'm not sure how the Russians operate. And the situation at Kreminna mainly revolve around Kherson and Yampolivka. I don't have much to talk about here, except that the Russians claim to have taken this forest. Not claim, it's a claim. It's taken this forest. It's not accepted by the Ukrainians yet. And if they can attack into Terni, then they can then break through into the rear of Ukrainian positions. But all these arrows gonna take a long time to develop. And I'm not gonna talk about Kupyansk Front because it's always a scam. Yeah, that's it. So anyway, thank you for watching. Do press the like button. This time around I put the mic pretty near to me. I believe it sounds a bit different. There's a lot more bass to it. And I'm still sick, so I have to pause the recording quite a few times, just to clear my throat. So it's not that comfortable. And so if I don't put the mic so close, to make it sound like almost like a radio DJ kind of thing, if I put it a bit further, so it's gonna sound like this. So I mean, it's gonna sound a lot more like the old microphone, and it's still audible, definitely, but it doesn't sound so sexy. If I move closer to here, you can actually feel the difference, right? You can hear the bass, and my voice is actually a lot deeper than what you usually hear, but not by much. My voice is something like this. Anyway, and also I have the super panel with Willy OAM History Legends and Wild Siberia has already been published. So, do check it out. It's a celebration of the 2 years anniversary, not celebration, commemoration. There's nothing to celebrate about. Commemoration of the 2-year anniversary of the Ukraine war. And of course, this also means that today is the 2nd anniversary of the Ukraine war. It was premiered as on the more or less the same time as the Russians' invasion into Ukraine, which is why it's some weird time, early morning in Ukraine kind of time. So yeah, that's what I did for the last year's 1-year anniversary as well. So do check it out. I think you will enjoy it. It's a super epic panel. I personally love it a lot. And yeah, so do press the like button, subscribe, and make sure that you subscribe both sides on the main channel and the war channel. So it's important to subscribe both sides. And of course, I may do a live stream later, also in relation to the 2 years anniversary, and also there might be a possibility, if I have the energy, to conduct the DPA open mic later today. So anyway, thank you for watching. Do press the like button, and yeah, depending on when you watch this video, the later today may sound very, very wrong. I'll see you guys in the next update.